Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to a new episode of our weekly Twitch streaming sessions. My name is Surtur from Slytherin, and today we will be playing Close Combat Gateway to Caen, the latest game in the famous Close Combat series. Joining us tonight in the Twitch chat is Koen Bekkema. He is one of the main developers of Close Combat Gateway to Caen. He's here under the name of Konradski, so should you have any questions about the game, about the series, or any more general questions really, or even extremely specific rules or whatever, fire them away and Kun will try and answer them where I am unable to. For those of you who are completely unfamiliar with Close Combat Gateway to Caen, or with the Close Combat series even, the Close Combat series is a tactical strategy series focusing on real-time battles and on squad-based combat. And what really sets this series apart from any other series is the detailed model of the psychological wellness of these soldiers. It is more than just having high morale or being panicked. There are all kinds of variations, and we'll be seeing a couple of them in the mock-up match we're going to do here. So as you can see, we're here in the main menu of Close Combat Gateway to Caen. There is the play game button. There's of course the multiplayer button, so this game can be played offline and online from both sides. There is a editor button should you want to create your own operations and battles. And of course you can tweak your options and such. So today we'll just be playing a game. For those of you who are not already into the history of the Gateway to Caen setting, Close Combat Gateway to Caen is set during Operation Absum, shortly after the D-Day landings, and it is about the British troops being forced to carve away into Caen or the surrounding area, and they met their extremely heavy resistance of some of the best German troops the Wehrmacht had to offer at that very moment. So there's extreme tense and harsh fighting between the British and the Wehrmacht, the Germans. Here we are in the menu where we can select our game. There are campaign games, and the campaign games are very big games. They have some sort of turn-based strategic overlay or operational overlay, if you will, that allows you to move your forces across, and when your forces and those of the enemy meet each other, a battle will ensue. So I'm just going to load one up so you can get some kind of idea what this strategic map looks like and how it might play. Although, of course, you will understand that tonight itself there's not enough time to dive into something big as this. So this is one of the strategic games, of the campaign games. We have our units moving in here from the north, immediately engaging some of the enemy forces. And it's your task to push south, capture the points, capture the cities. And every time one of your groups meets one of the other groups, a battle will ensue. You will jump into a very tense and quite realistic tactical battle in real time. We're going to get back to the main menu for now. Aside from the campaigns, there are also the operations, which, like the campaigns, have this turn-based overlay, although it's a bit smaller, a bit closer to the action, and you'll get earlier battles, and it allows for slightly more historical options as well, considering that there isn't as much space for you to mess with the historical strategy that was used. All campaigns and operations can be played for both sides, although some of them, as stated here, are actually is advised to play one of the sides, or designed to play one of the two sides, to give you the best experience, but you still have the freedom to change that up if you want. Today we are going into the battles, and we're going to play one of the battles. Here's a list of pre-made battles. These all come with the game, so you can see there's quite a bunch to choose from. Will take some time before you fought them all from different sides with different settings, so that's definitely a plus. And again, each of these battles, although some of them are made to have a specific challenge, a tailor-made challenge to one of the sides, you can play them from both sides. Today we're going to play one of these head-to-head missions, which means a mission that can easily be played from both sides, is balanced from both sides. We're going to play Bas de Forge, and we get a small overview of the map here that we'll be playing on, and a small briefing in this case for us, for our sides, because we've chosen the Axis. So it's June 29th, 1944, and as dawn breaks, the freshly arrived 9th SS Panzer Division, the Hohenstaufen, are preparing for attack. Advance along the railway and secure hedges, create as much havoc as you can, and do not leave anything standing. So our orders are quite simple: to shoot anything we see, find the enemy and kill it, and do as much damage as we possibly can. If I press change side, you will see a different description, obviously, something that matches to the British position at the start of the scenario. So having done that, we are going to tweak the mission settings a bit, or at least check if everything is as we wish. Good evening, Freshwater Predator. Glad you could make it to join us tonight. And here we can tweak the settings, and we can set the level of proficiency for the soldiers fighting on the different sides. So, of course, elite soldiers have high morale, have overall perform way better than raw recruits. In this case, we are gonna give the enemy some nice line units and give ourselves some raw recruits to work with. And then we have the realism settings here, so we can tweak some of the settings to make the game easier for either players, such as remove the fog of war, or making you able to always see what the enemy is doing. You can have units not act on their initiative, which is actually one of the cool things of this game, but it might be easier when you start learning the game and the basic controls, etc., to keep this off, to keep full control of your units, as well as for the always obey orders. Sometimes you might want to give orders to the enemy or to your troops, and they say, there's no way in hell I'm going to march into that machine gun line of fire. And they might plainly ignore your orders because either they don't want to do it because they're too scared to do it, or because they're panicked altogether. So we're going to leave these realism settings off for now, and here we're going to have to choose the victory conditions. So you can have the battle end when the morale gets too low, when all victory locations are taken. So we're going to get these two. Either we take all victory conditions, or we break the Allied morale, and we're going to kick their asses. Back to the briefing, we can get this again, and we click next once we're happy. And here we get into the force selection screen. Now, as I showed before, there's a huge list that comes with the game of the individual scenarios, and you can all have them, you can all play them from both sides, and even when you play them, you can tweak your own units that you're playing with per scenario. So there's pretty much an endless combination of what's possible in the single battles alone, let alone with the operations and campaigns that come with it. So these are the units in our pool that we can choose from. These are the currently selected units. We got one company here, the second company, and a support company. These three elements will always make up your main force. So in this case, because we play with the Panzergrenadier, most of the Panzergrenadier Zug or the Panzergrenadier companies are similar, so it doesn't really matter whether, for example, I take the first one or one of the others here. You can change that around. What I am going to change around, though, because I'm quite happy with having regular Panzergrenadiers to fight with. I quite like them. Lots of infantry moving around, going from cover to cover. I'm going to change some of my support units. Normally, I really like to have a lot of Panthers. I really love the units. Panthers to me are like the coolest tanks you got in during this time period. For now, however, let's change things up a bit and get some a bit more variety in there. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to take one anti-tank gun, a Pak 40. see if we can make some use of that. And let's see, we can take a half track, some Panzerschreck. Let's take a machine gun, an MG42 with it in support as well. So you got a bit more varied force here. And for each force you can select them, you can get more details on the main armaments. So we got a machine gun here, we got the cannon, the Kampfwagenkanone, or the KWK, and the individual weapons of the crew members as well. Another very nice touch here is the rename function. So especially during the campaign, you can get to rename your units to get more attached to them, to make it easier to follow their progress and to make them stand out for other units. Because one of the cool things here is that these units can gain experience, can become more veteran during the game. So having chosen my basic forces I'm quite happy with, I'm going to click next and I'm going to jump into the battle. One of the other things though, you can still look at the map here, mini-map, while planning your choosing your forces, so you can take that into account. And you can also look at the individual stats of all your troops. So all soldiers have individual stats for health, morale, leadership, intelligence, strength, and experience. And if you're playing this campaign or this operation, you can check that. You can follow these go up and down depending on their performance in battle during the game. So there's quite a bit of, like, I want to say, like a role-playing element there that makes you feel very attached to what's actually happening. So we're going to click previous again, and we're going to click next to jump into the actual game. And this is the main screen, close combat unit deployment mode. The first thing I always like to do once I deploy to a map is to zoom out and get to see the strategic map. So here we see the actual area of the battle we will be fighting on. The area covered in the light, that is not in the shadow basically, is the mine deployment zone, and the darker shade here is the enemy deployment zone. The center block here is the morale for both units. That will slowly go down once each unit starts taking hits. And so we're going to arrange our units. I first like to do the basic arrangements on the strategic map. For me, it's the easiest way to arrange them in the way I like. And my main plan will be to hold the center and the right, and to use my infantry, use the advantage of the bocage here of the hedgerows, and move them into these two victory points. Depending on the situation, then I'll see if I do an assault from the other side as well and completely destroy the enemy. Lots of talk going on in the chat about the Bloody First. Those of you who are not familiar with that, it's the announced next genre or next game in the close combat series. It's still very much in development, although it's making great progress, and we'll definitely be able to show you more of it a lot sooner. And those of you who had hoped, because I saw some comments there, that this actually was going to be a Twitch stream of the Bloody First, just keep some patience. We're definitely going to stream that when we feel like it's reached high enough quality to show you some stuff, because we're of course extremely excited for it, but we don't want to show anything prematurely. So we got the MG and the Pack 40 into the bushes, and we're going to align our infantry as much forward as possible. I'm going to send them into the hedgerows here to get a line going. I keep one infantry group here to capture this point and move them up afterwards. I keep the Panther in reserve for now. And our main push will be from the left, so that's also where we'll send Q. Now the HQ unit will provide a combat bonus to all units within its command radius, as shown here. Alright, so I place them like from the top. Send these guys with it. Let's do a nice asymmetrical setup and hope they won't probe my right flank. And let's zoom in to get the details set and to give the basic orders. So during deployment screen, you can already set the orders and order your troops whatever they should be doing as soon as the battle starts. So these guys, for example, I want them to move to this capture point, the flags being strategic points you have to capture in the scenario, and then I'm pressing shift here to queue up orders and then moving them north to hide in the bocage. The orders are given quite easily by right-click on the unit. You get a menu coming up. You can move them fast, you can sneak them. The differences in these type of movements we'll see in a second once the battle's actually starting. For now, I'm just going to order them to move and to hide into the bushes. And you can see if I keep my mouse at a location, you will see actually the ghost of where the troops will exactly be going. They don't necessarily go directly where the mouse is. They might seek cover themselves. They're not brainless units to do whatever you tell them. They will seek cover for themselves. They will act on their own initiative if they feel that is needed. I'm gonna have these guys hide here. Another thing, I should order these lads to capture the point here and then move up into the building, and these lads to capture this point and then move up into this building. Of course, buildings provide very good cover for everything and are good ways to hide your infantry. As you can see, the enemy side, they have some cover as well in there, so it will be hard to spot them initially, though should they venture out here in the open, they should be easy targets for my units. So these lads, the MG and the Pack 40 are hidden behind the bushes, and I'm going to set them into an ambush mode, meaning that they won't open fire by themselves. And having set that, I think we've given all major orders and we can kick off the game. So I hit begin and the battle starts, and immediately we can see on the minimap some redness here. And we identify a armored unit being a Churchill Crocodile, so a flamethrower Churchill. We're not firing on it yet. We can choose to open fire perhaps with the Pack 40 if it's not hiding too fast. Let's see, right click, fire. Oh, a second Churchill has appeared. And this is not a Crocodile one. This looks like a regular Churchill with a regular cannon. So now I can still decide to open fire on the Churchill, but I would hit it from the front rather than from the side. And perhaps I'll still be able to penetrate it, but it's not as easy to do damage. So I'm going to keep hitting for now. We also see some infantry moving, some becoming visible here, and I have open fire. So they have found the units that are capturing this point here, and I want to get these units out there as quickly as possible. For particularly that reason, the enemy has started launching mortar fire on my positions. So I'm immediately catching fire and getting damage. Let's see. Yes, we got only 2 lads alive now, but wounded, and they won't be doing a lot anymore. To those of you who joined a bit later and see Konradsky saying all this stuff in the chat, he is one of the developers on this game, so he definitely knows what he's talking about. So fire away any questions you might have at him. Okay, the enemy is moving up here, and I just got in mortar support, so I'm going to drop in mortar to what position they're going to. And I'm going to change the facing of my MG and let them start opening fire on the infantry moving up down here. So, for traveling short distances, the move fast button is very good. It will tire your man quickly, but of course short dashes will prevent you from taking too much fire while on the move. While the battle is going on here, I'm going to try and push up on my left. So I'm going to have 2 of these guys dash, 2 of these groups dash towards the opposite side. here our mortar combined with our machine gun and our infantry units firing from the hedgerows are doing major damage on the unsuspecting enemy that was advancing. And I have even we're catching fire here with our MG nest, so I'm going to have them try and move out. And I'd like to start my Pack 40 to take some hits.
Wir brauchen Unterstützung.
Unter Beschuss!
And I'm going to move up my punter as well in support. And we're catching fire from the enemy mortar here on our MG and Pack 40 position, so that's far from ideal. It's the first time I encountered this aggressive charge directly. The AI usually differs, changes tactics every now and then, taking different points. I've seen them being dug in here very strongly, making it for me very difficult to throw them out of the building. And we have yet to actually destroy any of the Churchills, even with our Pack 40. But now our punter is coming in and joining the fray. We're gonna have these guys move up, trying to take this position here and setting a defensive line in the hedgerows. Here we managed to make the dash, so that's very good. I'm gonna send the command unit up with it. And their mortars are keep pounding on my troops. We can see all the craters here of all the impacts, as well as here. And our gun crew has actually abandoned the gun. So our Pack 40 is no longer operational. So we got strong infantry presence here along Les Bois. We got two crocodiles rolling up here on the roads, and we lost our main anti-tank gun to deal with them. We took significant mortar fire on our MG and also on the Muro LP headquarters. Have you slowly crawl back. Our punter is taking fire from the enemy. You guys get out of there. I'm trying to deploy some smoke to get some cover. Come to play smoke, so just get the hell out of there. Mortars are also able to call in smoke grenades much more effectively than the infantry can, of course, so they're very good to cover your advances. So we got the Churchill still alive, we somehow just completely fail to destroy it, so I feel inclined to call in the big guns and use my my heavy artillery on this region to deal with the rest of the units.
Bataillon, hier der Beobachter. Wir brauchen Feuerunterstützung. Karte, Referenz 248055604. Wir brauchen Feuerunterstützung.
And we just keep catching more fire here. Gonna move you guys up though. I'm sorry, you have to keep running. And I want to get into this farmhouse here and flank the position around Les Bois. And here we see the explosions from the big guns. Unfortunately, none are on target yet. really love looking at these explosions. They look very awesome.
Einheit ist wieder aufgestellt.
Sichert das Gebiet. In Stellung, Panzerfest. Arms! Take cover! Deck mich!
Der Feind
It doesn't have a line of sight or line of fire at the moment. The enemy. To move them closer, but we get a direct impact here against the enemy crocodile. And it did not do any damage though. It's quite unlucky. We got our full army list here. These guys punches and wounded all. KIA now even. We got the gun crew abandoning their positions. We managed to get Chemin Tranquille. So that's good. Another victory point for us, giving us pretty much all the victory points on the west or on the eastern side of the map. Come on, get moving, punter. Yes.
In position.
As you can see, when I draw, and there we broke the enemy morale here. I was just trying to show you the line of fire too. Really, it's a very convenient way to check the line of fire between two units, two groups, and see if there are height differences, if there are hedgerows in the way, if there are forests in the way that might compromise your ability to shoot. Might not completely allow you to or disallow you to shoot at all. It might not stop you from shooting at all, just at a lower accuracy, because mainly you are obstructed from the line of sight, for example. So you know something is there, you can shoot there, but you're just not sure to hit something. It might help for suppression though, so it's definitely not useless to shoot at something you're not sure that's there. And it can definitely be useful, but you are spending a lot of ammo for little actual casualties. Right, so we managed to actually break the enemy morale, meaning that we brought it below 30% while keeping our own morale up with 58%. Is not ideal, definitely not. It's not very good. Since we took a lot of casualties, our pack 40 was useless, but the enemy decided to charge immediately, which was to our advantage. Although we didn't actually manage to get a lot of kills on the crocodiles, on the Churchills. So this is the basic end screen saying what happened. The battle here ended because the Allied morale broke. Again, you can choose your victory conditions like we showed earlier, and the Axis captured some ground before the Allies could regroup. Both sides still control the same victory locations. And here the Axis won the battle because they control a greater number of crucial victory locations than the Allies. Basically, because the Allies retreated, we got awarded a number of victory locations that were relatively close to our units, whereas the retreating victory location is still there. So they managed to retreat rather than disband, which is of course your ideal result in such a battle. You can get a more detailed overview of what happened by looking at the losses. As we can see here, we can see how many leaders got killed or wounded and captured. We got quite a few guys actually wounded, as well as 5 people killed, so and our armor even got damaged, so that's definitely not good. But overall we managed to inflict more casualties, especially on the enemy infantry, using the mortar and the heavy artillery fire onto the infantry positions. Now, even cooler of this game is when we're going to look again at the soldiers tab, because here we can see the individual performance of each soldier during the battle we just had. So we can see per squad of units how each soldier performed, and you can see several medals or icons displaying what happened. So here, for example, these guys all got wounded or during the battle, seriously wounded, and as a result their strength or their overall health basically, or their strength has gone down, meaning that they might recover, but they still suffer from whatever war injury it could be, making them less efficient. Of course, that opposed to that is their actual experience that has gone up. So there are more battle-hardened troops now. So these guys all ended with full health, having morale going up and experience going up. And here we can see some of our guys even got KIA, being killed in action, although this entire squad did get the Act of Bravery, which basically means that I put them in a position where they shouldn't be in, really. A good general makes sure that heroic acts are not actually needed in order to secure victory. And then we're going to take a look at how actually our anti-tank unit did. So we got some light wounds here, or light, well, still serious wound, but these guys are completely out of the routine for now. And we got 2 KIAs here. No rewards, no kills, or whatever. So these guys were pretty much just bullet magnets, and that's it. And here it's interesting to have a look at our MG guys. They managed to kill some hits, although not as many as you would have expected. Of course, they got targeted by the enemy mortar quite quickly, and we got 0.5. These guys actually share a kill, being operating together, and the gunner getting 1 full confirmed kill as well. Overall, if we're going to check who got the most kills here, we can see it's quite evenly spread out. Most of them didn't really kill anyone, more like chasing them away. And of course, our tank still in the end managed to get the kill on the enemy armor and did by far the most damage. So had I chosen more of the armor at the very beginning, I would have probably performed better. And we got some new guys joining in there. Hi, cheese for you. Glad you could make it. We're going to hit previous, and we're going to try our luck at a second battle here from the British side to show you the different perspectives. I'm going to click next, and we're going to play, let's see, Hill 113. We're going to change the size, and we're going to play June 29th, 1944. And we managed to knock out some tanks, and we're advancing on Hill 113. We keep the mission settings as they are, keeping the units at green, having the realism settings high, and get the same victory conditions. And here again we can select our force. We got a much more armored heavy force here than the previous one, which was mainly focused around infantry. So we got some nice Shermans, we got some Firefly, Sherman 2, and some mortar support. I'm actually quite happy with the selection here of this force, so I'm going to continue with these. Let's have a quick look at the map. We're going to charge from the north, and we're going to have to capture several points along the way. Okay, so we keep these troops, and we're going to click next to jump into the battle. So we have a lot of units here. Let's zoom out a bit to get the full overview. Got a lot of tanks supported by some infantry. This terrain is definitely favoring tanks, so having a tank heavy army is good. There's fairly little cover all around. So first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to deploy my infantry in the center, and have them push to the southern ridge and take a nice defensive position here. Although this is just within the enemy, actually the enemy can spawn everywhere around the map. If we zoom out again, all the darker shade is potential enemy spawning area, meaning they've set up their defenses in these in this map, in this location. So I want my infantry centered along, focused along the center of the map. with the mortars behind them to give fire support. Kind of afraid they'll start here directly having the mortars in the line of fire, but I should be able to overpower them. Right. So we got some nice tanks. We got some Fireflies here with fairly good stats for armor piercing and basic ammunition. So I'm gonna have to make a plan here. There's one victory point to the left, which could potentially be very well defended by infantry. So I'm gonna try and send one Sherman down there to capture it. I'm gonna have my mortars in standby to give fire support to quickly capture that, while my enemy or my infantry quickly pushes towards this ridge. Then I want to have two groups of armor. I don't want you guys to quickly capture it. You're a command tank. And then we have two groups of armor, small sections, on each side to provide support. So that will be the basic plan here. Whether it works, of course, remains to be seen. So we kind of, you guys, actually I want you to sneak up slowly a bit to get closer toward the enemy. And I'd like you guys to dash fast to capture this as soon as possible. And having done that, we got our M10, a nice tank destroyer in support here. So we want you to move quickly. Well, let's take it a bit more careful here. Deploy you here, move here, and wait there for now and see what's there. And you guys move. Spread out a bit because you're too easy of a target now. Take up positions. Also, what's pretty cool is you can actually, if you're not quite satisfied with the movement locations, you can drag them around, just click on them and change them, and quickly identify which unit belongs to, and the color indicating what type of movement we're talking about here. Blue meaning the standard movement, so you'll be seeing me using that the most. Purple meaning the fast movement, and yellow indicating the sneaky movement, so keeping cover, keeping low with less chance of being detected. Having done that, we're going to hit the begin button and see if we can identify some enemy. Well, we can indeed hit the very button, and they immediately start firing at us. Panzerfourth for taking out at the very start of the battle one of my Fireflies. I'm going to try and suppress them a bit. They're deploying smoke to cover their positions. They're quite out in the open. So again, you see the AI doing things that could make sense. And we are getting more casualties here as well.
Redeployed.
I've called in artillery on this position to suppress them as much as possible.
In position.
But so far we are definitely getting the most damage. Here we can see a Sherman not being completely destroyed, but being rendered incapable and is burning, and the crew manages to get out just in time, actually deserting the field of battle.
Redeployed. In position.
So meanwhile we're pushing up, hoping to actually get some kills, but Panzer IVs facing the right side are still a pretty tough match, even though they're not like Panthers or Tigers or whatever. And we got some nice hits here, hopefully doing some damage. You can definitely see we hit one of the squads waiting with the enemy Panzers here. See some buddies appear. You guys have stopped firing, so I'm going to have you sneak. Sneaking tanks, well, tanks can of course not really sneak in the sense that infantry can sneak. In this case, it means that we'll move with a bit slower, but have a better vision over what's happening and are more ready to fire whenever that should be needed. So far, though, we can see here that our morale is already dropping quite a lot. There's several crews having fled the field of battle already. So this could be a very short and quick defeat on my part. I'm going to see if I can have my mortars helping a bit, although they are not ideal, of course, for fighting against armor. We found some infantry around here. Mortars take some time to take aim, do the calculations, etc. But it should pay off in the end, really. I'm going to try and fire the Panzer, knowing it's not at all effective, but perhaps get in a lucky shot, do some, or stress out some of the enemies. So let's see, we got this guy burning here, we got this Panzer burning as well, so the main battle has been done. We're good. And we have actually lost the battle already with the final hit on our tanks. That was pretty quickly. I deployed my tanks a bit too much in the open, I suppose. So 1 victory, 1 defeat for an equal score. Of course, if you don't like this sudden morale defeat, you can change the victory settings. You can make them time-based. You can make them purely victory points based, say nothing ends until one side has all the victory points there. I prefer the morale setting. I think it's a good way to not have to do the mopping up stuff that I dislike having to do in a lot of strategy games. In this case, however, it did not work in my favor, as I thought I finally got their main guns knocked out and would be able to do some serious damage on their side with my mortars on their infantry positions. So the Axis actually managed to capture 2 additional VPs with me retreating because they were relatively close enough, in which case the Allied force was routed. And since they have all the victory locations, there was no room for me to retreat to, meaning that my force completely disbanded or got captured or whichever. So if this were a campaign game, my force would be completely knocked out and disappeared from the strategic map. This can be seen when we're going to take a look at the overall losses. We lost a serious amount of units, in a sense that we lost 6 armored units, but when you purely look at the amount of wounded of the infantry and the leaders, you can see that when it looked in casualties directly, we actually took a lot less than the enemy. So our artillery and our mortars did a significant amount of damage, wounding 28 of the enemy, including 5 of their officers, and killing 2 of their officers. So we did a significant hit on the enemy nonetheless. And we can see again the results of each soldier individually, and seeing if any soldier performed better than the others. So we got our tanks having some kills here, having some medals. These guys got KIA, though they did get, of course, the KIA medal. These lads did quite well. Our mortars, this one, and here again a number of kills. So some kills are shared between the loader and the assistant, indicating that both contributed to getting the kill. These guys got direct of bravery, but again, in a campaign game, all would be lost here, since these guys would be disbanded or captured. So this was the brief overview of Close Combat Gateway to Caen. Again, the game is out now on Steam, should you want to give it a try after what you've seen here. Should we want to try and get some better tank tactics going on that I just showed you, click on the link below, or on the Close Combat capsule below. It will take you right to the Steam page. You can have a look there at the trailer, the screenshots, and the product description. Again, like we covered in the beginning, we got the operations, campaigns, everything can be played from both sides. There's single player, there's multiplayer, and of course there's a series of tutorials, in which case lesson 5 would be advice to take about armored tactics. So this was the quick tour of Close Combat Gateway to Caen. I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you joined in later and like to see the whole thing, we'll make sure to upload the episode online on YouTube and post the link also on the Close Combat forums for you to watch. Thanks again for watching. I hope you had a good time, and we hope to see you again next week with a new game on the same channel and the same time as we were here tonight. Please subscribe if you like what you saw, and hopefully see you next time. Cheers.